in the last video, we talked about the different kinds of images that you could bring in. And I mostly talked about images that are the same that we would use online: JPEGs, PNGs, SVG images. But I did want to mention that, like most Adobe apps, there is some, back and forth ability to work with other Adobe documents like Photoshop. But it doesn't open up exactly the way that you might expect in XD, but it does retain other elements of interactivity or other elements that you have in your Photoshop file. So normally you cannot use a Photoshop file on the web, right? It's not a supported format. But I just want to show you what happens if you open up a Photoshop document in Adobe XD. So first off, this document is up in 2U, so if you want to, you can go ahead and take a look at it. And I'm not going to bother about the fact that it links to some other images that we don't have access to, but I want you to take a look at how it appears inside Photoshop. So inside Photoshop here, we've got two artboards. We've got some text that's set. We've got some vector images here that are smart objects. We've got like a user interface. So you might run into a case where either you're mocking up how you want something to look in Photoshop because you're more comfortable with it, or more likely, you've been given a file from a designer who's been working in Photoshop in terms of how the layout should look. Now, you want to utilize a lot of these elements and you want them to be interactive. Now, we're about to get into interactivity inside XD next week, but what makes sense is that in order to be able to click in email and enter in your email, click in password, enter in your password, those need to be separate elements. If I just make this one JPEG that's flat, I'm not going to be able to interact with the different parts of it as different elements. And again, like if I want Let's Go to be different and to go to somewhere else, and I don't want to be able to click on this whole background and go somewhere, we're going to want that to be separate. So I could go ahead and save each of these things out as their own piece, but that's a lot of work, right? And we don't want to have to go through all that. So I want you to see this is what it looks like inside of Photoshop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Photoshop document and drag it over to XD so it opens in Adobe XD. I could also go File, Open, and it would have opened it. But right now it's going ahead and loading that up. And there's some good things and some bad things you might notice straight off the bat. All right, let me go ahead and click on Home, this artboard. So, upside, it's kept our text as text. It's kept our logo as an image. Now, it does think that that is a regular image, not a SVG that we would be able to edit all the points of. It thinks it's a photo. But like the Let's Go button, that's the rounded rectangle. Okay, well, I still have editability of that. I still have that as text that I can go ahead and type and change. So that's really handy. In the name of the location, again, that's something that I can go ahead and change. I can edit all of these things. Certain parts of it look right. Let's Go, Woody Point, Newfoundland. But other elements are not exactly the way that they were. So you notice this guy's not right. And that's the main thing, is that guy. It seems like the rest of it's okay. Now this, I'm not able to kind of edit the points, whereas in here, I believe that that's a smart layer that actually links. Yeah, this logo is a smart layer. It actually links to an Illustrator file. So if I wanted editability of that logo, I'd have to bring it in straight from Illustrator. Right now it thinks it's like a JPEG or another flat image. But in here, I've got this blur, which is a adjustment layer. So let me go ahead and click on the sign in. And you got your email, you got your password, you got Let's Explore the logo, and then you've got your right here, and then this whole thing is one background layer. So that has flattened out the different adjustment layers. So inside here, you've got a brightness and contrast over the adjustment layer in here. Over Woody Point. So that has been kind of flattened down, but the other elements have been preserved. So you basically, as you can see, you get some of the elements. You get the majority of the elements that you have pulled out as separate elements inside of Photoshop, and you have editability on a lot of them, so you can go ahead and make the Newfoundland like that. Some things you'll have to tweak again, but for the most part, it does make things relatively easy to work back and forth between. And now you can go ahead and select each of these things separately when you want to add in your interactivity.